Hello, my name is Abigail Langston, and this is my reading analysis for Unit 6. Unit 6 readings discussed both marketing and public relations in regard to museums. Marketing for museums can be different than other kinds of marketing because it's an interesting position. It can't just appeal to visitors. They need to adhere to the missions and mandate of the museum because that's its major function. So for museums, it means finding a way to increase engagement and awareness of the museum and enhancing that experience because for them, word of mouth is key. Setting marketing goals means looking at the current and past marketing and seeing how to move forward while keeping within the mission. Genway and Ireland break down marketing goal setting with their SMART technique. With less specific, goals should not just be an idea, pinpoint exactly the goal, what the goal is. M, measurable. The goal should be something that can be measured, increase in foot traffic by a percentage, for example, versus like just something kind of vague and out there. A, attainable. Change is not going to happen overnight. These goals should be reachable. If you say you're going to increase by 100%, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to double. So then we have R, relevant. Goals should be relevant. If you have a museum that has an age demographic targeted for adults, you're probably not going to say that you want to increase children visitors because that would mean revamping basically all of your signage and such. So making sure that it's relevant to what you're trying to do. T, time based. Make sure to set a timeline for those goals so they're not just kind of vaguely hanging out there. You know when they have to be achieved by. As for who, when looking at customers or potential customers, there are several categories that can be broken up. And this is helpful when looking at who's already coming to the museum, also who's in the area and could be your new potential customers. You can look at geographic, so the actual city, how big is it? Is it a rural area? Um, so, like, is this major tourism, or are we mostly appealing to people who are local? Demographic, who lives in the area, what age? So, an example would be if this is an area that's mostly an older population, you're not going to want something like a children's museum versus if you're somewhere with a lot of families. Psychographical, interests and values of the area. Are you appealing to the people who live in that area? And behavioralistic, which is what are their spending habits? Are these people who are wanting to come and pay for a museum? And these are all areas that would be looked at when breaking down populations and peoples that are coming to the museum. When setting museum smart goals, it's important to look at the 5 P's of marketing: product, place, price, promotion, and people. The 5 P's can be seen as an older or outdated model for looking at marketing goals, so now it's not uncommon to hear the 5 C's, which cover the same concepts from the perspective of the customer. The C's are customer value, convenience, customer cost, communication, and courtesy/hospitality. The 5 P's and C's can be viewed in direct connection to one another, which helps to market in an effective way for both the museum and customer. We're going to dive a little more into these as they really are a key concept that we are covering for the week. Product/slash customer value. This covers the physical space and the upkeep required for the museum. If a place is perceived as dingy, as uncared for, it will hurt the customer experience as they'll kind of see it as just not as high of a quality. Place/slash convenience. Where is the museum actually located? Is there parking, access through public transit? This can be an area that's harder to make changes in. Moving, though not always out of the question, is a large expense and comes with its own set of risks. Mark Making collections available online can increase engagement and make it more convenient for customers at a minimum cost for the museum. Price/slash cost for the customer. How much are you charging for a mission? And does that price reflect the mission? Looking at making a family membership, maybe kids are free, can help entice families, or having a day that's half price for seniors who are often the major patrons of museums can come during a workday. Um, Another area to look at is additional fees. It's not uncommon that I've gone to museums when they have a blockbuster exhibit and that has an additional cost associated to it. So that's another area that can be looked at and how that's incorporated into the price. Promotion and communication. What campaigns are you currently running? Um, are there ads? Look at where they're running and what collections they promote. Do they reflect your target? Social media can be an invaluable tool for promotion, especially because it's incredibly low cost to in comparison to traditional advertising. Promotion can be a moving target in this way, and it's important to look at if you are using the social media websites that best suit your audience. So, seeing what the engagement looks like on the websites you're using and whether or not that's where you want to stay or if it's time to move to a different one all kind of falls under this category. People/courtesy. The actual experience of being in the museum. How were you treated? Was staff informed? This can seem like kind of a just a last minute thought, but honestly, it's so important that people feel like when they're asking questions that there are people who have the answers and that they're treated well because that's going to reflect so much on how they feel about it when they leave. Public relations is different from marketing in that it looks at the public face of the museum. In our readings, it broke down three major categories that public relations can go into. Image PR, this is the reputation of the museum as a whole. So when people think of it, do they think of it as like good institution? Routine PR, these are things that can be done on a daily basis. It might be things like social media updates and things like that. Crisis PR, museums are no stranger to controversy, big or small. Being able to protect and defend the museum is key, as well as fielding and addressing concerns that might come to avoid it going into a crisis. Different tools that can be used for public relations. Media is key. The way that the media writes about the museum can be so important. Having a well established relationship will help when new exhibits open. Um, Having different events and fundraisers can show how community minded the museum is, as well as outreach programs to get the museum's name out there. And this always, and of course, the last one, which I mentioned right from the top, is buzz, which is just how people talk about it, making sure that people leave having a great experience that they'll tell their friends about, and in the modern age that they'll post about. Encouraging customers to tag the museum is a great way to kind of encourage that buzz to spread. In conclusion, marketing and public relations are two different yet interconnected factors in running a museum. Together, they can be used to find areas of improvement and set new goals. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.